It's dedicated to her, and it's partly inspired by her life story. So Helen was, we were going to call the film Joy Number 4, and then we couldn't find a way of writing that, like, you know, so that it looked good. And then we thought, well, it's obvious that it should be Helen, because really the film starts like a film that's about a woman called Joy, but really the film's about Helen. So I suppose we saw the title as an opportunity for it to be a big clue to the audience. It's not about Joy, it's about Helen. But yeah, it is. It's dedicated to Jo's mom, and partly, or quite a lot, is based on her own personal story.
If you'd had it re-advertised, it would have fitted in with Jo's family's blockbuster experience, because it could be like a Die Hard series.
I know, that's what somebody said. It was Joy Number 4. That sounds like a sequel, and so we let go of the idea.
Okay, and final question, all the way at the back there. Yeah.
No, that came from us. That was personal, very much drawn from, as I said, Jo's mother's experience. But the idea of we didn't start off with that idea. We started off with a film where we wanted to look at people in uniforms, and then it kind of got narrowed down to a police officer, and we started to look at the idea of a reconstruction, a police reconstruction, like a crime scene reconstruction. And you know, it was through that process that we came up with the idea of somebody going missing, and then we became, actually through some research on the internet, where I found a drama group in Liverpool who promotes their drama group on the basis that they've been on Crime Scene UK. And you know, so to lure new members, you know, they point to their involvement in the Crime Scene UK programme special. So, you know, one thing leads to the other, and then the idea of the people in uniform kind of went to one side, and we began to focus. So I would say although we work very closely in participation with community groups to make the film, we bring a lot to the table. We don't have a blank canvas. We have civic meetings that we organise. We try to get a feel for what people are interested in, what's going on, and then we also bring stuff to the table, and it's through that kind of process that we begin to develop the film. But you know, generally one thing kind of leads to another, and that's how we kind of approached the making of Helen. It started off over here and ended up here. I suppose you kind of go for what interests you, because if you're going to stay with something for a number of years, it's got to, on some level, interest you. And the idea then of the stand-in, for us, was a kind of a device that worked very well, because you then get the approach to, you know, performance or acting, and her being somebody else, and that kind of play with identity that we were really attracted to.
And very finally, just before we let you go, because you've mentioned some of the other films that Desperate Optimists have made, Joy and Who Killed Brownell, and I'm sure that people's interest here will be pricked by those. How can people go back and view these other films? Is there a website that you can direct them to where they may be able to?
Yeah, we have a website, desperateoptimist.com, and we have a Civic Life DVD that is available through, there's a link on our website to get to it. And Helen is actually going to have a limited theatrical release in the UK and Ireland in the spring of next year.
Won't be that limited. Helen's been released by a company called New Way Films, who also released Unrelated, and it's coming out April 16 next year. And I've got a personal interest in this, because I'm not going to make any bones about it. Helen's my favourite film I've seen this year, and I think it's a really interesting time at the moment for British cinema. We were talking about this in the bar beforehand, in that there seems to be a real renaissance in a genuine British art house cinema. I think Helen is very much representative of this, so come and support the films, come and tell your friends to see it next year. And thanks to Christine for coming down in a very busy time in her life and talking to us about Helen. Thank you all for coming. Thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us here on the CineCity Festival podcast. Visit www.cine-city.co.uk to view this year's programme, book tickets and stay on top of all the festival news. You can also subscribe to the podcast while you're there to make sure you never miss an episode. The CineCity podcast is created in association with Director's Notes, the weekly film podcast dedicated to the what, how and why of independent filmmaking. Find it over at www.directorsnotes.com.